If you're still awake, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Welcome to Mind-Bending Mysteries. My name is Tammy, and before we begin, a quick disclaimer. Tonight, we are discussing official government records and historical maritime accounts, and while the files and witness statements are part of the public record, the origins of these objects have not been confirmed. This content is for educational and entertainment purposes. Let's keep our minds open, but let's keep them sharp. Now tonight I want to show you how a headline from this week and a mystery from 60 years ago are actually the same story. Now most of you have probably seen the news about the government finally opening its UFO vaults, but what you may not know is that the answer to these new files has been sitting at the bottom of a quiet Canadian harbor since the 1960s. So tonight we are connecting the dots between the 2026 disclosures and the Shag Harbour incident. And if you've never heard of these before, pay close attention, because the world just got a lot bigger and a lot deeper. Now let's start with right now. As of May 2026, the Pentagon has launched a public website. It's at war.gov/UFO. And for the first time in history, the government is releasing thousands of pages of classified data, photos, and videos of what they now call UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena. They are finally admitting that these objects are real and they are operating in our airspace. But the most mind-bending part of these files is the specific term, transmedium. This is the key to everything. So the military is admitting that they have tracked objects moving from space through the air and plunging into the ocean without slowing down or showing any structural damage. Now they are telling us that these craft treat the water exactly like the air. And to understand why this is so revolutionary, we have to look at the night that proved it. Now to find the proof, we have to go back to October 4th, 1967, in a tiny fishing village of Shag Harbour, Nova Scotia. Now at 11:20 p.m., the town was quiet until at least 11 people saw something that defied logic. It was a massive object, roughly 60 feet long, and it was gliding over the water. It was tilted at a sharp 45-degree angle with 4 bright flashing lights in sequence. Now witnesses heard a whistling sound like a falling bomb, followed by a massive whoosh and a bang. Something had hit the harbor. Now the local RCMP and a group of fishermen assumed a plane had crashed, and they didn't think about aliens, they thought about rescue. So they jumped into their boats and they raced out into the pitch black water, desperate to save lives. But when they reached the spot, there was no wreckage. Instead, they were surrounded by thick, bubbling yellow foam that was oily to touch and smelled like sulfur. Now underneath their boats was a pale yellow light, and it was glowing deep in the water. And as they watched, the light didn't float. It sank slowly and deliberately into the abyss. Now no planes were missing, no pilots were lost. Something had arrived and it had gone underwater. Now, here is how we connect the 2026 files to the 1967 mystery. While the public was watching the search in Shag Harbour, the Navy was secretly tracking the target just 25 miles away in Shelburne. This wasn't a separate event. It was happening at the exact same time. At a secret submarine detection base, the Navy was watching their sonar screens, and they picked up 2 objects on the seabed near the government point. And for 3 days, while the public was told nothing was found in Shag Harbour, the Navy ships, including HMCS Granby, were sitting over these objects in a high-stakes standoff. Now, one craft appeared to be rendering aid to the other on the ocean floor, and the military wasn't looking for a crash anymore. They were monitoring active, intelligent craft that had entered our waters. They even detected a Soviet submarine approaching the area, likely also curious about the sonar pings. Now the Navy had to move to intercept the Russians, and in that moment of distraction, the 2 unknown objects rose from the floor, broke the surface, and shot into the sky. So why do these 2 events fit together? Well, the 2026 files gives us the science, which is transmedium travel, and Shag Harbour gives us the proof, a craft that actually did it. Now, in my opinion, we've spent 70 years looking at the sky because that's where we expected aliens to be. But the Shag Harbour incident and the new Pentagon files are telling us that the ocean is the real sanctuary. Now, if these crafts can move through water as easily as air, they have a place to hide when our radar can't find them. Now, what happened in Nova Scotia wasn't a crash, it was a homecoming. We are sharing this planet with a presence that has been hiding in plain sight just beneath the waves. Now, the wisdom I want to leave with you tonight is that the truth doesn't change just because people refuse to acknowledge it. For 60 years, those fishermen were told they saw nothing. But today, the official government files are finally confirming their reality. It reminds us that the truth is often right in front of us, but we can only see what we are prepared to believe. So stay disciplined in your search and don't be afraid to look beneath the surface, because mystery without discipline becomes misinformation. Now we watch the files and we keep our eyes on the water. From my coast to yours, have a wonderful night.